Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Reverend Richard Pacheco, and as always, I am so grateful for you being here. And today, that word takes a whole new meaning. As the title of today's talk is Gratitude, Not Just a Thank You. And as always, let's just do a little bit of homework. If you happen to be watching this on our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe, like, share it with anyone who needs to hear this, as well as hit the small bell, which will allow you to be notified anytime a new video drops. You can also check this out on our podcast, and you can find With Every Encounter on our podcasts as our channel on any of your favorite podcast stations. With that being said, we're here today talking about gratitude. It's not just a thank you. And as we're sitting here, I'm at peace. I'm feeling grateful because, it's been a couple of challenging days for me, and it's been a very busy time as I'm involved in a lot of projects, as well as making sure that these videos go out and anything else that, is called upon me to do. But just sitting here at this moment, I'm smelling, this candle burning, which of course my wife's part of the business, Nairobi Naturals, has a wonderful smell. It's calming. Just the atmosphere where I'm at right now is calming. So I'm grateful for that. And yes, I can say thank you, but it's more than that. It's more of a feeling. See, gratitude, a lot of times we step away from it. We think, well, did you show some gratitude today? And it usually means to us to say thank you. But it's not the words, but the actual feeling. And gratitude takes on a whole new meaning when you truly understand the practice of gratitude. And the practice is in everything. As a unity minister, I teach the unity prayer process. And part of that prayer process is thanksgiving. So a lot of us, we sit there and we think, okay, we say thank you, God, thank you, universe, whatever it is that makes us feel comfortable. But the words alone is not what's important. It's that feeling of true gratitude within ourselves. So when we talk about the feeling of gratitude, it's that feeling of satisfaction is a way to say it, an easy way to say it. But it's truly when we look into ourselves and say, there are no limitations. Now, what do I mean by that? We hear constantly, the big push is on the law of attraction, and we see it whether you're on social media, whether you're on, watching television. You'll see a lot of people talk about the law of attraction. And I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the law of attraction is actually a smaller part of a larger law. But in the law of attraction, they talk about, seeing, believing, and being grateful for. And just saying thank you doesn't do anything. The law of attraction works on what we put out. In the Bible itself, and we know the book that's written, as a man thinketh, so is it in his heart. And it is said that we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are. So if we come from a place of gratitude, where we feel no lack, that we come from a place that energetically goes out and seeks like energy, and brings it to us. Now, what makes that important? Well, let me flip that on you and challenge you a little bit. Can you feel grateful for your last breakup? Can you feel grateful for the last job that you lost? Can you feel grateful for being laid off? Can you feel grateful for being sick? Can you feel grateful for the money you don't have? Can you feel grateful for the relationship you don't have? See, this is where gratitude has to come in. See, With Every Encounter, that name came from a thought in my head where I realized that I spent most of my life blaming and pointing fingers and talking about how it's everybody's fault that these things happen to me. But what I realized is when I came to Unity and learned that radical self-responsibility, that everything that happens in my life starts here. And when I realized that, I was able to now look back at past relationships and actually be grateful for them. Because even if we label them as a bad breakup, what did you learn from it? You learned maybe some things you did, some things you didn't do. We talk about radical self-responsibility. When you look back and say, my past relationship, he or she did blank, 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 ask yourself, what part did I play in that drama? Because when you do that, as you go into your next relationship, you now can sit there and say, well, wait a minute. I was fearful for, so I treated them as. I was afraid of. I wasn't getting enough of, and realize that that was starting here. It was a lack mentality rather than being grateful for that moment. Everybody grows together. We all make mistakes. It's okay. But when you're truly grateful for and feel that gratitude for the person, the situation, the attitude, creates almost a magical effect that starts to draw better to you. You know, I talk about this when my wife and I talk about how we're going to be able to celebrate our 20th year, when the first years of our relationship was a battlefield. And it's because when we first learned the term and started to utilize the term of radical self-responsibility, we stopped pointing fingers, or as they say, when you point your fingers, there's still three pointing back at you. When we realized that we had to work on ourselves, we were able to see the baggage we brought in together, and we were able to start letting it go. There was no more fear of, I've got to hold on to my old traditions. I have to hold on to this, because in gratitude, I can look at those bags and say, hey, I'm grateful for what this brought me. And I've learned this. So thank you. Let it go. I'm grateful for that past relationship that maybe didn't end very well in the eyes of everyone. But guess what I learned? And I can be grateful for that. Guess what I learned when I got laid off? When I can look back and say, hey, if it wasn't for the fact that I followed that company out here and after 10 years said, thanks for being here, but we no longer need you. Not only did I feel a weight off my back, but I was able to learn that I wasn't doing my true purpose. I was able to learn that spirit, intuition was already kicking me in the head going, it's time to go. But I was also able to be introduced to Unity, which now brought me to the Unity ministry, where I'm now a Unity minister. So I want to give you a chance now to think about it. I want you to look at your life right now. Start going through your head and saying, hey, what was it that last week I was anxious about or mad about or I haven't forgiven for? And gratitude, if you haven't realized that, is part of that forgiveness process. Because it's easy to say, I forgive you. And it's easy to say, I'm forgiving you for myself. But could you be grateful for that moment in time? That person, that situation, that lack of whatever it was brought you here today. You know, my wife, and myself and my children, we've gone through challenges. And we spent years after that blaming who was bad, who was this, who did this, who didn't do that. Now we can look back and say, hey, we're where we are here today because of those challenges, because we learned. So we can be grateful that we had to go through that. Now, I know there are people out there who've gone through some traumatic experiences. But as I've always said, and this is how it's been taught to me, the past only lives in my mind. It is dead and buried. The future hasn't even been created, so it only lives in my mind. So when you can come into the presence and say, okay, this happened to me in the past. It's no longer happening to me. It's that I have forgiven it. I've forgiven myself for it. But now I can be grateful because this happened to me. I now can do X, Y, Z. And in some cases, that gratitude can come from a place of you helping others who may have gone through it, who don't know to get to the place you are today. And if you haven't realized that yet, that most of our journey ends with us serving others and helping others. So where are you today? Where are you where you can now look back and be grateful? Where are you today that you can be grateful right now, right here in this time? And not just say thank you, but feel it from the bottom of your gut to your heart. And as you feel it, as I'm talking about it, and I'm so grateful for doing this channel, I can feel almost like an energy field is growing. Now, my sound woo woo to you, but it's how I know when I'm truly centered into a certain feeling. And when I do that, then I know that I've reached the place I need to be. And I can be grateful, and I can look back, and I can take those lessons. And like always, when we talk about metaphysical practices, it's the practice. It's about when you get that feeling and you learn those lessons. It's not about, okay, I learned a lesson, great. It's about taking that lesson and putting it into practice. So you don't go into the next relationship with that baggage. You don't go into your next job hating your management because the last management laid you off. You don't go into your next customer, if that's what you have, and blame the first customer who pissed you off with that. You're grateful for that. So today is what I want you to take away from this. It's gratitude is not just thank you. Gratitude, it's that magic potion within each and every one, that magic divinity that spreads out throughout as a light cannot be hidden. It is there to shine. And the brighter you shine, the more you affect people around you. The better the gratitude energy, even in the situations that you slap a label of bad, when you feel gratitude for that experience, no matter how challenging that is, you put out into the universe, you put out into the world that you're expressing this energy to find other energy to bring to you. And that's my prayer for you today, that you find gratitude in your heart for anything that's going on. So join me for Meditation Monday, and of course, our lesson next week with Wisdom Wednesday. And if no one else has told you, I love you, nothing you can do about it. And I bid you namaste as I say the big divinity in me sees that big and beautiful divinity in you. And I will see you next time.